The coronavirus pandemic has amplified the tensions between the United States and China. A new Politico poll shows that since January, the percentage of voters who say China is an enemy has risen to 11 points to 31%. Yesterday, Chinese state media released an animated video mocking Secretary of State Mike Pompeo as he congratulated Taiwan's president for her second inauguration. On the technology front, the U.S. passed new rules to restrict chip sales to Chinese tech giant Huawei. And China seems to be jockeying to gain world influence where the U.S. backtracks. President Trump threatened to halt funding for the World Health Organization if it didn't make, quote, major substantive improvement, while China pledged $2 billion to help other countries respond to the pandemic. Joining us now, former diplomat, author, and lecturer at Stanford University, Anja Manuel. She's co-founder and partner in the strategic consulting firm Rice, Hadley, Gates, and Manuel. Thank you so much for being on this morning. If you could give us a sense on the China-U.S. relationship, you're describing it as a free fall. How so, and what's to come?
Thanks, Mika. Happy to be with you. China-U.S. relations really are the worst that we've seen in any time in recent history. They are in free fall, and I just hope we have not a too hard landing. If you see, you just showed a poll. China is the enemy of Americans. Are worried about China and have a negative view of it. That's up 20% from just a few years ago. And of course, the Trump administration is being tougher and tougher. I worry that what we're doing here is entirely defensive when actually we should be doing offensive things to lift ourselves up rather than pushing China down.
Anja, it's Willie Geist, right on cue. The president tweeted moments ago about China and the incompetence of China, as he called it, that did this mass worldwide killing, as he called it. What are the implications of what you say is sort of the fallout from the bottom of this relationship between the United States and China over coronavirus? Obviously, China deserves a lot of the blame for what's happening right now. But what does that mean for our country, for people watching this show, for people going to work every day when we all do go back to work? What does a frayed relationship with China mean to us?
It means a more difficult economic situation for us. In a very worst case scenario, it means skirmishes. I wouldn't say war. I don't think we're anywhere near there. But having a frayed relationship with China doesn't help the United States. It doesn't help the world. It doesn't help anyone. China shares a lot of the blame, just as you said. But my focus would be on doing positive things for us to compete, especially on the technology side, where this race will really be joined so that we are ahead in quantum, in AI, in semiconductors, all of the technologies of the future, and continue to be able to compete.
Mike Barnicle.
Anja, obviously China is an authoritarian state. Everyone knows that. It's ruled by a handful of people at the top and a ruler for life. It has its Belt and Road policy, which has been operative now for several years. It's enormously expensive. They've contributed enormous sums of money, billions around the world for ports, harbors in Africa and other countries. Is it possible that they are perhaps sitting on their own dangerous economic bubble?
Boy, you're right. That's such a good question. You know, there was a New York Times piece, I think, yesterday saying that Pakistan has asked for a restructuring of the many loans China has given it. I think China has given over 30 billion in loans of Pakistan. In all, the Belt and Road Initiative is supposed to be up to $1 trillion in Chinese lending for infrastructure around the world. A lot of those countries are terrible credit risks. And with the coronavirus pandemic, many of them are asking for their loans to be restructured. So this is a very difficult situation for China.
Anja Manuel, thank you very much for being on this morning. Now,